Hello everyone, welcome to the Jewish Week Online. We're here at the Jewish Funk team at a special press conference for Project Heart. Project Heart's mission is to help Holocaust victims and their heirs with restitution. During Nazi Germany, 6 million Jews were killed, their homes taken, and their businesses looted. Project Heart is helping bring their claims to the forefront. Let's take a closer look. So what's the process? Unfortunately, my grandmother passed away. My mom wants to find what property. She knows a little bit about the story. So what's that process?
The process is you go to the Heart website, which is heartwebsite.org, and you fill out a form of what you know. Simultaneously, every month we're going to be updating properties we find, and you can put in the name of the victim, the name of the city, and if we found anything, that will come out. So in other words, someone says, my mother was from Krakow. I knew they had a house. I have no idea where that house was. And maybe we have the address of that house. So that enforces her claim.
And what's the process? Let's say you find that property. What happens next?
Once we start what we call phase 2, it's to begin putting pressure on Eastern European governments, especially, also Western where it needs to be, but the problem is much worse in Eastern Europe, to sit down with us, begin talking what constitutes a claim, how much restitution can they give towards value, who's going to examine the land books of Romania and confirm that what this is true or not, okay, and pay for it. So we are basically saying, number one, come in, sit down, and have decent negotiations where we will represent either survivors or their heirs or the Jewish people, if there are no heirs, on property, but that property must be restituted either in kind or the actual property. Either they have to give us financial compensation or property itself.
And how long do you think it's going to take for a survivor or their heirs to get that done?
I don't know. We actually have a teeny opening of progress with 1 or 2 countries already. I don't really want to talk about it until we start moving on it, but nevertheless, we know we're racing a clock. We know that Holocaust survivors have a limited time on this earth, and we would like to solve many of the problems while they're still with us.
And when you look into the future, and obviously it's hard to understand the process of legalities and the whole process. What would you like to achieve in the next year or 2 years?
I would like to begin negotiating with most of the countries in Eastern Europe and at least come to some conclusions. When we started negotiating on insurance, you can imagine how complicated it was. All these insurance companies that didn't exist, currency that didn't exist, the files that didn't exist, and we confronted that problem. Maybe all of us, the solutions were wise, maybe some were not wise, but nevertheless, people were paid. Nevertheless, the companies admitted that they owed money. The first is that a country should say, yes, I'm in this because we have yet a debt to pay. And then let's sit down and how we're going to solve that problem.
I'm happy to speak about the Jewish Agency and how it is focused on the Jewish future. But that future is in many ways a product of our past. It's a product of the legacy of our fellow Jews, their love for the land of Israel, their love for their religion, and also their love and remembrance of our heritage and our commitment to Jews around the globe. So that's what's brought us here together, not only today, but throughout generations. We need to remember our past in order to preserve our future. And we have to embrace the responsibility of assisting Holocaust survivors in their waning years and to ensure the legacy that the lives they led will never be forgotten.
The Jewish Agency for Israel is really at the forefront in trying to help Holocaust victims. Tell us how you got connected to Project Heart.
Well, the Jewish Agency, as you said, has been always committed to this population, and there are 2 or 3 projects that we've been running for years that we continue to run and need to improve. One is Amigur, which is subsidized housing, which literally houses thousands of Holocaust survivors in Israel. Project Lat, which helps match volunteers to the Holocaust survivors to assist them with their daily lives and with getting claims, etc. We recently launched a very interesting project in Hungary called Minyanim, where we actually pair off birthright alumni, young people with Holocaust survivors who goes through a year of meeting, talking to each other, learning from each other, and then the birthright alumni and the Holocaust survivors make their first trip to Israel together. And we're talking about replicating this program. So this is an issue that we've always been dealing with. And among the many olim that came to Israel, among the 3 million that were brought to Israel by the Jewish Agency, a significant portion, obviously, are Holocaust survivors. Project Heart is a project that marks sort of another stage in this effort, in the efforts of the Jewish Agency, because this is the first time that the Israel government really decided to take a very active role in this issue, and the Jewish Agency is doing it, in fact, on behalf of the Israeli government, which is a natural position for the Jewish Agency, because the Jewish Agency, after all, is the formal link in the Israeli law between the government of Israel, the people of Israel, and Jewish diaspora. So when it comes to a major initiative of the Israeli government, it has to do in part with diaspora. The Jewish Agency is the right place to do it. So, it's being done under auspices. Natan and our leadership are very much behind it, and we have hired Bobby Brown, who's one of the probably foremost experts in the world on the issues of Holocaust restitution and property and all of that, as the person who is running it. And we've had some, I think, significant early successes.
You're one of the few people that actually got documents from Romania, and you have them in your hand right here. I just want to show our audience that this wasn't easy to come by. It was something that you had to bribe people in Romania.
And it just happened after Ceausescu fell, so I felt that there was the appropriate time to see if I can retrieve, because I did not have I don't have any memories from I have memories on my body, but nothing that will remind me a picture of anything of worth that I can put my finger and say, this is mine from my family. So when you feel that you have nothing, no background, and yet you have such terrible memories, you say to yourself, something, like this is so valuable, maybe I'll find something from my family. And therefore, when I saw it, I felt very relieved.
It's very interesting that you said in your speech that these documents might not even be there anymore.
That's exactly it.
And it's very interesting to see that people can destroy these documents, even now.
Yeah.
What are you hoping for with Project Heart?
Well, what I'm hoping is that I speak not only for myself, that I have some papers which to me mean everything, but I'm talking as survivor for many survivors who don't have any papers, like I didn't have before I got these papers. So we are practically in the same boat. Just because I have a little paper, to me, that is more than a piece of jewelry.
It's evidence. It's evidence that your parents
legitimizes my being, my family's.
As you can see, Project Heart is an important initiative to help Holocaust victims and their heirs in reclaiming some of their financial assets. This is Arwen Herman, and thanks for watching.